I was walking down a street in Berlin when I first stumbled on the stumbling stone.
The English translation of the Stolperstein is stumblestone, because you stumble upon it when you walk.
It catches your eye, particularly in the sunlight, because it reflects from the ground. When you go closer to it and you try to understand, first of all, what are you looking at?
The Stolperstein have been placed mainly for Jewish people who lived in Europe and who were murdered during the war in the concentration camps, in their memory, with their date of birth, with their name, and where they were murdered, as a memory for people to learn from and not to be forgotten that they were part of the communities where they lived in.
Liberation 75 is a global movement to commemorate this important anniversary of 75 years since the end of the Holocaust. The goal is to ensure that the memory of the Holocaust is not lost in the future. We're at such an important point in time. We're now 75 years later. We're losing all of our witnesses, the Holocaust survivors themselves, who continue to tell their stories. The Stumbling Stone exhibition is being showcased in Canada for the first time, sponsored by the German Consulate, Toronto. It is important because many people will finally be able to see this phenomenal project where inscribed brass stones are placed right into the street directly in front of the last freely chosen homes of victims of the Holocaust. Each stone begins with the words, "Here lived," followed by the victim's name, date of birth, and fate, which in the vast majority of cases was deportation and murder. It is a deeply personal monument to an individual tragedy.
The Stolperstein, to me, represents a grave, because my parents were murdered in Sobibor, so there is absolutely no grave of my parents, but the Stolperstein is the first tangible object that you see that was of theirs.
It reminds me of my family that was murdered in the Holocaust. And the Stolperstein, to me, would mean that that family still, in some ways, in memory, lives at that place and had a life in that place at that time. Even though there are 70,000 stumbling stones placed in more than 1,200 cities and towns across Europe and Russia, each one tells the story of an individual who had a home and lived a life just like we do.